Hey guys, welcome to episode number 12 of Intelligent Wrestling Talk. I am Dan Janoff.
And I am the best there isn't, the best there never was, and the best there never will be, Sean Specs.
And if you are new to the show, welcome. This is our weekly wrestling show where we talk about the week that was wrestling, give some news, some history on us as fans. Normally, we would give you some wrestling history, but since Anthony is not with us, we figured we would leave that for him if and when he decides to return. And lastly, and most importantly, we have a Q&A with everyone in our Facebook group. What we do is about 24 hours beforehand, we post something, post a little thread in the Facebook group, and everyone can submit all their questions there. Also, if there's anything if you want to skip to, say you want to hear about TNA or you just want to hear about the Q&A, you can just click on the time next to whatever you want to hear, and with the magic of YouTube, it just fast forwards you right there. All right. With that being said, let's.
I have my little disclaimer to say.
Oh, do you?
Yes. For those who don't think we're being professional, when you hear noises in the background, like dogs barking, noises outside, people in the background, you need to remember that neither Dan or myself are in a studio. I'm in a bedroom in the UK, and whereabouts are you?
Yeah, I'm in my bedroom in the US. So
There you go. See, life is a background noise, so just try and ignore it and enjoy the show. And with that said, we will move on to our first segment, which is everything you need to know about Raw.
and the show started off with CM Punk saying that he will eventually get his hands on Paul Heyman and put him out of his misery. Uh, Brad Maddox would come out too. I guess he one of the few that doesn't have any entrance music yet. Says that he already has a match for Battleground, but he can make a match for Raw. We see Big E come out and he goes after him. The match looked pretty good, but we would see Punk getting the win over Big E.
Very convincing win as well.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I think seeing him lift someone like Big E, because he very rarely gets picked up at all.
Yeah.
So hitting him doing the GTS was it was a wonderful thing to see, don't you think?
Yeah, it's not really often we get to see Punk show off his strength.
And he's deceivingly strong as well, really.
Yeah.
I think the only time the GTS has ever looked bad was when he's done it to Kane, because Kane just can't seem to sell it properly.
Yeah, I don't know why that is. All right, now let's get into the very, I guess, sort of anticipated debut or rebut of Los Matadores.
Yes.
Taking on 3MB. See their really elaborate entrance, and they come out with a bowl.
Exactly. And here's the thing, right? Rather than build up Rey Mysterio's big return to Raw, they just dress him up like a bull and have him accompany Primo and Epico to the ring. I mean, what's up with that?
Well, actually, funny enough, I was actually looking through my Facebook, and one of the pages I like in is Gregory Helms, who plays the Hurricane, and he actually said that that according to him that the bull is apparently Jamie Noble. So
Oh dear, oh dear.
yeah, but they would get the win over 3MB. Wasn't really that impressive of a match. I think the crowd seemed a little bored with it.
Yeah, their finisher isn't that impressive.
No.
And I don't think they're into it either. They look really awkward.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they're probably thankful to have TV time and, be winning matches, but, it's just, I mean, I think, who was it? Possibly, I can't remember which one of the commentators said it, but they're saying that El Torito looked like a small Gonzalez.
I think that was. I want to say JBL, but I could be wrong. Probably am.
Probably. It sounds too intelligent for something for Michael Cole to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, during a backstage fallout, I was watching, and it was Renee was trying to interview them. They barely said anything. They kind of said something in, I'm guessing, was Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
And then El Torito came out and started sort of charging at Rene. Rene was laughing and having fun and stuff. But it
Yeah.
was weird because the body language of El Matador was almost heelish.
Yeah, a little bit.
So I don't know whether they're going to be heels, but I think with a gimmick like that, how can they be? Although, it'd be interesting to have a heel with an actual sort of gimmick, because usually when someone turns heel, or it's like heel, like anyway, like Orton, he's so bland and boring, even, whether he's more boring as a face, but as a heel, even when he's kind of in his psycho viper, there's just still no personality there either.
No, there isn't.
So I don't know. I think it's too early to really tell, but I mean, obviously they were going to feed someone to El Matador, so why not 3MB? And where's Drew?
Yeah, I was looking for him.
This is just another sign that they're kind of wanting to pull him out of it and actually do something with him. Now that Triple H has more power.
I would love to see them do something with McIntyre.
Yeah, they need it. I mean, Drew's been so wasted. Even Heath Slater is more talented than what he gets credit for.
Yeah, and I think they paid their dues in 3MB for long enough.
Oh yeah.
Alrighty, let's move on to the segment with the Rhodes versus the New Evil Corporation. We had a Triple H say that if they can beat a tag team, the tag team champions at Battleground, that they all can have their jobs back. And
I have a quote from Michael Cole. He says that Dusty had to make a choice no father should have to make, choosing one of his jobs to get his son back.
Oh God, that was bad.
Yeah.
and it's
jobs. And is it PG?
and it's funny too, because I didn't really realize it until Michelle pointed it out to me.
She is the one person that can point out a blink that's out of place.
Yeah.
So good job, Michelle.
Yeah, and I think this match should be fairly interesting. I don't know where exactly they're gonna go with it.
It's for the titles, though, isn't it?
I don't remember that ever being mentioned. I just
they never made it really clear. That's the thing.
No.
All they have to do is beat them, but surely having it for the titles will give it more of an incentive.
Yeah, that would make more sense.
So, yeah, I don't know. With Battleground around the corner, and I don't like that name. It sounds more video game-ish for an iPhone.
Yeah.
I can't see too much happening at it, to be fair. It's a throwaway pay-per-view.
Yeah, that's true.
I can't see too many title changes, if any. Especially not the Divas title.
Oh, no. No.
I really hope they don't put the title on Cheese Baby, which, as we all remember, translates to Brie Bella.
Yeah.
I think the big story from Raw, though, the real big story from Raw, is that R-Truth won a match.
Yeah. I mean, even though it was a little... it wasn't all on his own, but...
No, but the win sheet would say, R-Truth, win, Curtis Axel, lose.
And that apparently gets him a title match in Battleground.
Yeah,
so.
remember when people actually have to earn title matches, not just get a random cheap win? And it's like, well, you're the number one contender now, apparently.
It's like, oh, okay, you had help.
Yeah, you've not done anything for a while. Let's just give you a title match, which you'll probably lose, and then you'll be back on Superstars.
Yeah.
Although, speaking of Superstars and main event, it seems, from what I've read, that RVD is pretty much working all the shows. He's been working the Raws, the Smackdowns, the main event, Superstars, everything.
Yeah.
So maybe being on those shows isn't too bad, but it's not exactly the most watched shows. Hence, we not talking about them until now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's just because it's RVD. If it was someone like Kurt Hawkins, who is on those shows but just loses all the time, and R-Truth's been on there many times and barely won anything. But this is a win, not only a win, but a win on Raw. Not only on Raw, but against the Intercontinental Champion. Now, I don't know, Curtis Axel hasn't got like the highest of caliber ratings, but he's still the Intercontinental Champion in the end. So,
That's true.
and a win over any champion, whether they're a fluke champion or a legit champion, is still something to hold in quite high regard, really.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see him taking the title, though.
No, definitely not. And next, actually, we would see Paul Heyman end up proposing to Ryback, asking him to be a Paul Heyman guy.
What a beautiful moment.
It was beautiful. And
wow.
They were interrupted by CM Punk, who at first everyone just thought he just tripped and fell, but then we would realize that he just lured Heyman to a trap, hitting him with the kendo stick, and fought off both Ryback and Axel before giving Axel a GTS.
Indeed, and that every time I see kendo shots, they just look so brutal.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny. I know it's sort of weaker wood. It's almost like bamboo, But it's the fact that it's such thin wood and hollow that makes it sound so much better and so much more deadly.
It really is.
So it's weird, even though they're cheaping out big time, it's worked probably better than what they would have hoped. So, yeah, let's keep going with kendo sticks. Which reminds you of Steve Blackman as well. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Just to destroy people with kendo sticks.
Oh my god, he was a master of doing that.
He was. He's essentially the Chuck Norris of the wrestling world. Even though Chuck Norris himself was actually near company Undertaker.
Yeah.
In one of the matches. and then he kicked Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, I remember that.
Kind of did like it was almost like a backward somersault just to sell the kick. Oh, it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What ended Raw was an in-ring confrontation between Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton. Orton would insult Brie Bella, and with Bryan and them being together, can't do that. And Orton would end up getting the better of him and beating him up in front of Brie Bella, and ultimately RKOing him on the announce table.
Indeed. And what are your thoughts on the everything going pink?
Well, I think it's good. I mean, it's good to bring the awareness to the breast cancer and all that. I know they do that throughout the entire month. I think they're going to wear pink shirts.
The only thing is, can you remember like the I guess the dodginess that was that whole campaign last year, where all the money they were raising wasn't actually going to the right place?
No.
It was basically going to almost the government, and then a small percentage of that, literally a small percentage, tiny percentage, was actually going to the campaign itself.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't look right on a lot of t-shirts. It doesn't look right on Daniel Bryan's. It looks more like a girly orgasm t-shirt now.
Yeah, a little bit. Alrighty. Yeah, that'll do it for WWE Raw. Now,
here's a quick question.
What's that?
For some reason, I put my hand up. I don't know. Do you think Kane's going to come back wearing pink if he comes back this month? The big pink machine.
Big pink machine. I hope that doesn't happen.
That'll be hilarious.
I still think he's off filming that movie, isn't he?
See No Evil 2.
Yeah.
Even though he died in the first one.
Yeah.
Horror movies don't have to make sense.
Oh, I mean, I don't know how many times Freddy has died, how many times Jason's died.
Yeah, they cast David Otunga in a film. It doesn't have to make sense.
No, it doesn't. Oh my goodness. Okay. It's time to get into some NXT.
NXT.
And not too much happened. We didn't see no Aiden English this week. No Tyler Breeze.
Still no Paige.
No Paige.
Do you think this is getting her ready to come up to the main roster though?
It could be, but
I think if they're gonna do that, they'd have like like they did with the Wyatts, like a goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah, they They got a lot of support. All the like "Thank you, Bray" and all that stuff chants. But yeah, so I'm hoping when Paige does come up, they'll give her a good send off. It's just I don't think she is actually injured, unless she is and we've missed it. I don't know.
I don't think so.
But yeah, it was weird. Show with no the main guys that get the biggest reaction: Aiden English, Tyler Breeze.
Mm-hmm.
They're heels, but they're
Yeah.
getting ridiculously popular. Not even on the show.
Yeah, because I mean the only divas that we saw were Summer Rae and Emma, and that was in the opening tag team match
Mm.
with with Emma teaming with Santino and Summer Rae, of course, teaming with Fandango.
Yeah, and this shows how much of a delay of their tapings. And I was trying to think, why don't they just make it a 2-hour taping? But that would mean they couldn't tape as many shows, because I think they tape about 4 shows at a time,
Yeah.
which is why, like, that whole Triple H thing, he gave
Mm-hmm.
away a bunch of spoilers,
Mm-hmm.
because none of that stuff, when they taped that, none of that would have happened yet.
Nope.
So, but yeah, Santino and Emma make a great wrestling couple.
Yeah.
Their entrance was hilarious.
Yeah. Them trying to correct each other
Yeah.
and doing
They was like, do we do a power walk? Do we do the dance?
yeah,
They
it sort of
combine
looked
it.
like it sort of looked like they combined it and they made it look good.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the fact that they said Santino's back, even though we'd already seen him about 3 weeks
Yeah.
on the other shows, that's kind of, I mean, if they can't make it seem like it's a weekly tape show.
No.
I mean, stuff like that, little things like that kind of make people go, hang on a minute, he's been back for nearly a month. How is he just returning now?
You would think they would edit that out.
Oh, yeah. They do it on Impact enough. Over here, when they actually show it on TV, they edit out all the Bellator stuff. So there's just random muted gaps of nothing coming from the commentary.
Yeah.
Any logo gets blurred out and stuff. Surely they could just do that. But then again, the commentary that's taped for FCW isn't done at the arena half of it. It's
No.
actually taped probably just before it's broadcast anyway. The only bits that are obviously recorded live are the bits where they're actually shown in the arena.
Well, I think that makes it even more weird why it wouldn't be cut out to begin with.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a small detail.
Yeah, yeah. We're just nitpicking right now, I
Yeah.
guess.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Should just call this intelligent nitpicking.
Yeah. Going after little things. Well, there's going to be more a little later, but
Yeah.
we'll get into that when that happens.
Yeah.
But next, what we would see is the NXT Tag Team Championship match between the Ascension versus Adrian Neville and Corey Graves, where we would see the Ascension. They would pull it off and become the new tag team champions.
Another convincing win. I don't like. I mean, I like Corey Graves. I like Pac / Adrian Neville. As a team, they just don't look right together. And I know that Corey's just filling in for Oliver Gray, the former ECW superstar who got his head kicked off by Sheamus and countless others. Whether Oliver Gray's even going to come back is debatable.
Yeah.
But ever since this, I don't know, this tag deal started, you knew the Ascension had wind up with the belts.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're going to have some sort of return match next week or the week after.
Yeah.
And then they're eventually going to have them split. I think that would be best. And I think probably give Adrian Neville maybe a title shot later on in the year, maybe.
Can you imagine? I want to say Pac versus El Generico for the NXT title.
That would probably be the match of the year.
I think a match like that wouldn't. They'd have to have it on a pay-per-view pre-show, or even on the main card. They need to start if they think NXT is so important. They need to actually showcase it. Like have a match. Like have 2 NXT guys have a match on Raw.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see them even talk about it at least.
Yeah. Even superstars would be a start.
Yeah.
but they need to. I don't know. I think the NXT title at the moment is such a must-win title that surely having it where they're going to get maximum exposure would just be the logical thing to do. It would be the intelligent thing to do. So yeah, I'd have it as. I mean, if Zayn was champion at the moment, and everything that needed to happen for that build-up had happened, I would have it on Battleground.
Yeah, I think that would be.
That card's pretty weak. To be
maybe
fair.
have it to open the show or do or replace the actual pre-show match that they have.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think the pre-show match they have now is Sandow versus Ziggler.
I think so. But I mean, they're already talking about changing the card anyway. From where is it? I mean, we're supposed to get Bray Wyatt versus Kofi Kingston.
Yeah.
Already hints that they're going to change that to a 6-man tag with Kofi and the Usos taking on the whole Wyatt family.
Yeah.
That'll do nothing for anyone.
No.
They need to have Kofi versus Bray.
Yeah. I mean, because they already had the Usos feuding with the Shield anyway.
Exactly. So, I mean, the only thing that could possibly happen is they have I don't know, it's like a 16-man tag where you've got the Shield and the Wyatts, or a 12-man tag, or some sort of maths.
That's a lot of people there.
But people don't want to see the Shield and the Wyatts team. Well, some people, man. I wouldn't mind it. I'd love to see at least some interaction, even if they just walk past each other in the corridor and stare at each other and keep going.
Yeah.
And then Ambrose goes, I like those guys.
Oh. I just love hearing him talk during any sort of matches, just screaming at whoever. It's like, come on, Ambrose, come on.
Come on. Yeah.
All right, and before we get into I guess the main event of the show, it was briefly mentioned that RVD was going to be making a special appearance on NXT next week. Not exactly sure what they're going to do, but it'll be interesting to see him on NXT.
I don't know. I mean, generally when they have, I guess, like a WWE guy on there, it's only meant to be a promo. Someone from NXT interrupts, turns into a match. So, the sort of question is, if it is a match, then who would it be against?
Oh,
I mean, I think RVD versus Chris Hero, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But you see, I don't know. I think they're having him as a face still. It's weird what they're doing with him, because it's almost like he's on the verge of turning heel, and then he'll disappear for a couple of weeks, and then he'll be back just as a normal face. So I don't know. I guess RVD being on NXT is a reason to watch, even though people should watch NXT anyway. It is the best show. Really.
Yeah, and I mean, you're mentioning about who he could face. I remember when Dolph Ziggler was there, he faced off against Alexander. Maybe he could face him.
Yeah, or I don't know. There's plenty of choice.
Yeah, I mean, the NXT is definitely not short of talent.
No, as Triple H pointed out, they could replace the entire WWE roster with NXT guys, and everything would be amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Yep. And lastly, we would see the Bo Dallas Invitational, where
that's the funniest thing.
Oh, and he would have everybody would get a shot except for Sami Zayn, which was interesting because we kind of predicted that he would somehow get involved. But how would he get involved, you may ask?
Yes. How would he?
Yeah, first we would see some random guy, and I think you'd like the
really
chance
familiar.
that he got.
Yeah. But yeah, the chants were amazing. Even though, as Silver pointed out somewhere on Facebook, they were grammatically wrong.
Yeah.
A "Let's go this guy" chant would indicate they were chanting for someone in the crowd.
Yeah.
Let's go. That guy is what they should have been chanting, as that is the guy in the ring. But it was,
Yeah.
it was a hilarious moment and just shows that no one likes Bo Dallas.
No,
They
I
they
really
came
don't.
so close to liking Bo Dallas when he was feuding with Barrett, but no, it just doesn't. I don't know whether it's just because he reminds people too much of Taylor Lautner,
Maybe.
and people just don't like Twilight and that whole connection thing.
Yeah.
But let's not forget, he's Bray Wyatt's brother.
Mm-hmm.
They
That is
could
very
they
true.
could easily repackage Bo Dallas as some sort of minion, at least.
Yeah, bring in another member of the Wyatt family, maybe.
Yeah, well, that's what Bray Wyatt was hinting at
Yeah.
as well. That's what he hints, which we'll talk about on SmackDown.
Yeah. And let's see. And he also had the Leo Kruger would come out, and as well as Antonio Cesaro, they would
Yeah, yeah,
sort of fight each other to get in the ring, and then eventually they both be knocked out of it. And then we would see a sort of familiar masked wrestler who would come in,
yeah.
and
El Local, I believe they called him.
yeah,
They're like, well,
and
Ricardo's lost a lot of weight, and he's grown a big ginger beard.
yeah, we were wondering where exactly that came from. And he would end up getting the win and then pulling off the
Very
mask.
quickly.
Yeah, pulling out the mask, and it was none other than
Skinny
Sami
Seth
Zayn.
Rogen.
Or, well, yeah.
Skinny Seth Rogen. I'd love to get that chant going.
And yeah, Sami Zayn would get the win.
Indeed.
And I guess this gives him some sort of a title shot at some point.
Yeah. Despite what Bo Dallas says.
Yeah.
I can't believe he's made his voice even more annoying.
Yeah. Sounds pretty accurate.
Yeah. Don't stop believing. Do you believe? Nope.
Oh man. Okay. Uh, there's no smooth transition here, so we'll go right into
Smooth trans.
there's never any
bumpy.
No, they're all fairly bumpy on this show.
Yeah.
All right, start with some TNA Impact, and it would start off with AJ Styles coming out, talking about his upcoming match with Bully Ray. Bully Ray would come out, and he says he wants to take AJ away from the fans, and after Bound for Glory, they won't be chanting his name any longer, and then AJ announces that later on, Bully Ray would have a match against Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
That was after Manic and Jeff Hardy versus Kenny King and Sabin, wasn't it?
Yeah. For some reason I wasn't paying too much attention to that match.
Yeah, because I didn't have that match marked down in my notes.
I don't know. I don't know. I find Manic boring now.
Yeah, I mean, the only real major news that came out of that match was having the Ultimate X match between Manic, Sabin, Hardy, and Austin Aries.
Hardy doesn't belong in there.
No.
But that's the weird thing. He kind of doesn't really belong anywhere.
I mean, I would have liked to see, because I don't know how or why they just completely excluded Kenny King out of this. Maybe they could have had him in there instead of Hardy. I think that would have been better.
Yeah. I don't know. Hardy just seems like filler.
Yeah.
And I hope he doesn't win.
I would hope not either. I mean, because...
chances are Sabin will win.
Yeah, and that'll build up a little something between him and Aries.
Yeah, but with this whole Sabin, heel turn with the whole Velvet Sky thing, don't you think it's a bit coincidental that we have all like Total Divas and stuff? That exposes the real WWE couples.
Yep.
Then all of a sudden, TNA exposes Velvet Sky Chris Sabin as a real life couple.
Yeah, because that's something they don't normally do.
No. And the whole, Stephanie McMahon being more on TV, being more heelish. Dixie Carter turns heel. Maybe that's what their meeting was about a while ago. Dixie Carter just taught... I mean, I don't know, they've both been really vague about what they were talking about.
Yeah.
So maybe she was, she was talking just normal businessy stuff, but maybe she did throw in like, how do you be heel, and what better woman to ask about being healed than Stephanie?
Yeah, she's probably one of the best at that.
Exactly. I mean, she said Dixie's saying that she was talking about more sort of, doing like a cross promotion thing. But from what I remember reading, that wasn't necessarily what she was talking about with Stephanie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just a really odd coincidence, and we know that both companies take ideas from each other anyway, so
Mm-hmm.
it's no secret there.
Yeah. All right. Moving on, we would see this little video, and this guy walking around, and it ended with the caption, "Ethan is coming," and I don't know if you have any sort of ideas on who this may or may not be.
I know who it is.
Do you want to spoil it for everybody, or do you want to?
No, the promo was pretty obvious who it was by voice, and it showed the side of his face.
Yep.
It's Derek Bateman!
Yes.
And it's so obvious. I mean, anyone who watched that and didn't know it was Derek Bateman, shame on you. A massive WWE star like Derek Bateman you didn't recognise? What the heck, people? What the hecking heck?
Yeah, I've missed seeing him. I thought he was. I think it was a shame that WWE let him go because I always thought he was really funny. I always thought he was really entertaining. But
Yeah, he could
I
have been the
guess,
new Stevie Richards.
yeah, and I
I
think it
see
could
a
have
lot of
worked.
similarities between them. They even sort of have a similar look,
Yeah.
like facially, but it's kind of common knowledge now that it is Derek Bateman. I think it's going to do really well for him, to be fair. Have you seen his YouTube show?
I have not.
He's him and Dolph Ziggler's brother and a couple others that were in FCW.
Yeah.
It's quite good. Oh, I think Trent Beretta's on it as well.
No, I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, if people know what I'm talking about and have seen it, you'll know what I mean. But if not, that can be one of the links we'll put in the description.
All right.
I will send the link to you after we've done the show so you can see it.
Okay.
And yeah, it's definitely interesting. Don't expect high budget and stuff. It's literally random guys with a camcorder swearing
Yeah.
and yeah, so it's fun. But I think this can be Derek Bateman's big chance, so to speak. And I bet there's Derek Bateman chance.
Yeah, probably. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, but this is good. We all know he can probably do loads of characters, but
Mm-hmm. All right, and the last match as far on this show, spoke a little bit of it earlier, we would see Bully Ray take on Samoa Joe, and it wouldn't take long for Bully to introduce the chain. Then Earl Hebner would end up seeing it. He'd end up getting disqualified, and just as he was about to pile drive Samoa Joe on the concrete, we would see AJ come out of the crowd and sort of interrupt it and run back into the crowd and sort of celebrate with the fans.
I was expecting a Wes Briscoe run in.
Yeah,
I don't think he's been released, has he?
I don't think so.
Chances are he'll probably get sent to OVW, even though he doesn't need it.
No, he doesn't.
But it was a good match, though. I don't recall the Samoa Joe and Bully Ray having too many one-on-one matches, at least not for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were taking some quite heavy shots at each other. We know that Joe doesn't hold back when he beats you up.
No, definitely not.
I'm not saying that from personal experience, of course, but
No.
I mean, you watch some of the videos, especially in like indie stuff, those kicks and those chops, and when he throws you around, he is a tough son of a gun.
He really is.
And so's Bully Ray. It's definitely a clash of the heavyweights,
Mm-hmm.
but also a very good match.
Agreed. And lastly, we would see the Dixie Carter and Hulk Hogan segment where we would find out that Hulk Hogan would not want to ride the Dixie train and he would end up quitting.
Indeed. Apparently this is all legit and he is actually gone. We'd
And
heard rumours anyway about the whole contract thing. Said he wasn't going to resign. He wasn't happy with how things were going. But what he doesn't realise that it's his fault that things have been going like that. I mean, Dixie said he's just an employee, but he's clearly more than just an employee. He runs quite a few things, but so yeah. I mean, Bischoff is still there.
Mm-hmm.
Half the roster, probably most of the roster, and all the workers want Bischoff gone as well. So, I mean, now that Hogan is gone, we'll see what the future holds. There's quite a few rumours of, or at least there was, about TNA getting to the point where they may actually need to sell the company.
Yeah, it seems like that's going to happen eventually.
So, I mean, there's just so much kind of, I guess this is just the horizon of a lot of stuff, really. And all we can say, I mean, I don't want to start getting all, trying to predict everything that's going to happen. All we can really do is wait and see.
Yeah. And I think it's more fun that way.
Oh, yeah, exactly. That's just it. That's how, because the facts of reality and the money and all that stuff is such a heavy thing for TNA, always has been.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to affect it whether people want to believe it or not. And unfortunately, no matter how good the shows are, if the company's not bringing in money and they can't even keep their own stars there because they can't afford to keep them under contract.
Yeah.
And the ones that they can afford to keep under contract don't want to be there.
Nope.
Then what they're going to do?
All right.
Yeah. That's all I can say about that.
All right, let's move into the last show of the week, which was a Friday Night Smackdown. And we would see the Big Show come out and say that he's been doing bad things to good people, and they show a little video package of what he's been doing. Then Big Show would explain that he had to do what Triple H wanted so he could save his job and his family. This would bring out Triple H, who says that...
he said that he knows he has like mortgages to pay and bills and stuff like that. And then basically he revealed a piece of paper saying that he no longer has a mortgage to pay. He doesn't owe the bank any money. He owes him money.
Mm-hmm. And then he would announce that the main event would be a handicap match with Orton and the Shield taking on the Big Show.
A Big Show called himself something lunatic. Big lunatic. A big angry lunatic. Something like that.
And that sounds right.
The word lunatic was definitely in there, so yeah.
Yeah. And then we would see Alberto Del Rio take on Dolph Ziggler. I thought it was a pretty awesome match. It would end up going close to 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's probably one of their better matches. And what I noticed is when they've faced each other countless times.
Yeah.
But their pay-per-view matches never seem to be as good as their Raw/SmackDown matches.
No. It's always strange how that works, though.
But also what I've noticed, again, is when there's a break between those two having a match, their first match against each other, sort of, getting back into that whole rivalry thing, is always it's a very strong match. So maybe that's what it needs. It needs that little, if they're going to have another pay-per-view match, let them have a rest from being in the ring together.
Yep.
And then have that build into the pay-per-view match. And then they can almost have their fresh moment, their fresh match, and everything goes really well. And because it's almost like all their possible match finishes they seem to waste on normal TV.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, that's why the pay-per-view finishes always tend to be a bit dodgy, because it's like, oh, panic, what should we do? I don't know, DQ. All right then.
Yeah.
We got 30 seconds. Let's put an eight diva tag match on. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, Randy Orton's still walking to the ring. Right. Okay then. He's been doing that all night.
And all right, let's move on through the show here. We would see Biggie Langston go up against Kofi Kingston, where we would see Kingston get the win with the roll up.
Yeah,
And
that was a big win, really.
yep.
A roll up that actually looked convincing as well.
Mm-hmm. And yep.
Yeah, that happy ending didn't last long because then we had more Wyatt epicness.
Yeah, they would come down the ring. Kingston would meet them halfway.
Yeah, he said, I think I can remember it, possibly. He basically said that the laws... Oh, no, Kofi's law? Someone's laws have failed him.
Yeah.
And that, I don't know, something like heroes aren't heroes, but I think his main point was that come soon, possibly Battleground,
Mm-hmm.
the first one will fall, which possibly could indicate that he'll have a new member.
Maybe.
You know, and then we have to follow the buzzards.
We always have to do that.
Yeah, except here in the UK, there's just pigeons. I don't want to follow pigeons or seagulls.
No.
Because I'll just end up on a roof getting pooed on, possibly.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like any fun.
No, it's like, can you imagine if Bray Wyatt was British though? He'd be like, follow the seagulls. No, I'm not following the seagulls. Follow the buzzards, says Fandango for some reason.
Well, maybe he's the new member in the Wyatt family. Who knows? And then the last thing that would happen is we would see the Big Show take on Randy Orton and the Shield. The Big Show would end up winning, but it was by disqualification after Randy Orton used the steel chair.
See, the cool thing about that match, it didn't seem like your standard handicap match, did it, really?
No.
Anyway, you carry on. Sorry for interrupting there.
It's all right. We would see Big Show sort of take control over for a little bit, but it would end up being too much for him. But after they would be beating up on him for a little bit, we would see Daniel Bryan and the Usos end up making the save and ending the show.
Yes, and here's what I wanted to say earlier about the Usos. Them wearing pink just looks like they're wearing pajamas.
Yeah.
It's like they were ready for bed. But no, before bed, yes, they'd brush teeth, save Big Show. Right, we'll go to the ring and do that.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the handicap match was good. It was a bit sloppy and some miscues in places, I noticed.
Yeah.
But, it was not, yeah, it was, I mean, does it still count about Daniel Bryan? Is it still counting that he is technically a two-time WWE champion, despite both reigns being forcefully stopped?
I mean, I guess it does, but the combined reign, the reign rather, wasn't that long.
No. Also, the RVD's match.
Oh,
nice
yes.
to see the Van Terminator.
Yeah.
On Fandango, and also, Cheese Baby won a pointless match against Oksana. That was the match where they dubbed in a massive cheer when she won, and the crowd just weren't reacting.
Oh, that was awful.
Yeah, like I say, they need to show a better camera angle if they're going to show the crowd doing absolutely nothing whatsoever.
Yeah.
But then AJ came out, and she made us want to spank Brie Bella, or maybe both the Bellas in like a twin spankathon. I don't know. Send all donations now. That was essentially everything on SmackDown that was remotely, I don't know, spankerific.
Yeah, I guess we could go with that.
Yeah.
All right, and yeah, so that would do it for the week that was wrestling.
Yes. Or at
Now
least
it's time.
tried to be wrestling anyway.
Yeah,
Try so hard.
it's like I mean, we come up so short.
Wrestling dance contest. I don't know, possibly
Uh,
both. But
you know,
yeah.
uh, let's get into a little bit wrestling news.
Indeed, I have a few stories I'd like to share.
Alrighty,
Do you have stories?
I do not.
Okie dokie. Then I shall share my stories.
Alrighty.
About I don't know. I've got 6, sort of like same amount as last time. Again, it's not a huge news time for wrestling. This is just kind of bits that I've picked up from websites, not dirt sheets, just just random websites.
Okay.
Fandango possibly might have a dance battle at Battleground. Now, to me, a dance battle should be a true battle. Get them some rocket launchers, jetpacks, turrets, spandex or lycra, and let them gallop around using the weapons. That is a dance battle. And Halo.
And Halo, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, as we mentioned earlier, Hogan has officially. I don't know why I said it like that. Hulk Hogan officially gone from TNA. Something people have wanted for ages, and now it's happened. People are moaning. It's moments like that where I don't know. People really don't deserve to have an opinion, as they seem to just get it confused with blatant attention seeking, and it's been happening ever since the internet was created.
Yep.
And apparently, something we were discussing last week, Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards are still to hear back from WWE after their assessments. WWE, as far as what I know, were very impressed with them. They said they were the 2 standouts. There was about 30 indie wrestlers that were trying to get spotted. Those 2 were the ones that got picked out, or at least 2 of the main name ones that got picked out, but they're still waiting to hear the results from their assessments. Hopefully they get signed.
Yeah.
And thank goodness that they weren't El Matador.
Yeah.
Saturday Morning Slam. Hey, remember that show?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that probably won't be coming back. I don't think anyone really cared about that show anyway.
No,
That's
not
probably
really.
gone. Total Divas will be back November 17th. I'm expecting a lot about the Daniel Bryan Cheese Baby wedding.
Yep. Yep.
And also some sort of DLC pack for 2K14, possibly, or at least the Bellas as DLC, maybe the Funkadactyls.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've noticed that a lot of the Total Divas cast haven't been mentioned for the game, so maybe they're waiting to package them up like that. And as a last bit of news, Tyson Kidd has made his return in a dark match against Justin Gabriel before their this week's Smackdown / main event tapings. Apparently, he got quite a good response. And that's it for news.
All right, and I guess it's time now to move into Know Your Host. For this week, we discussed this a bit in length on during the pre-show where we were trying to figure out what exactly we could do that we haven't, and we saw one of the questions. It sort of inspired a little bit of a discussion that we could use for this week. It's about wrestling deaths and how they really affected us.
Yeah, and without actually, I don't know, sort of nullifying the question that's in the Q&A,
Yeah.
we'll save the main answer for that because obviously I don't want to spoil the question. But, I mean, how old were you when, I guess, a wrestling death affected you?
Gosh. I think it was around when Owen Hart had died. I'm trying to remember how
Yeah.
old I was during that pay-per-view. Was that 96, 97, something like that?
99.
90, 99?
Before you go way back in time, 82, 90. Was it 1845 that Owen Hart died?
It's like, whoa, wait a minute. Well,
Hang on a minute. Yeah. Yes, 1999. I was in secondary school, and I think I was about 14, possibly. I'm not sure.
yeah. Yeah, I was too at that time.
You were 14 while you were 14.
Yes, I was 14 while I was 14.
Okay. Glad we cleared that out. But yeah, I think Owen for me as well. It wasn't a pay-per-view I actually got to see. Obviously because of the time it's on in the UK. I had school. But yeah, I remember people talking about it on the playground the next day. Wrestler dying was... And to be fair, that was the first time that I actually really experienced a wrestler dying. Like, I know wrestlers had died like in the past.
Yeah.
But this is the first time as me watching as a fan where something's happened at current time. And yeah, that was... I think because I was so young, I don't think it affected me hugely. It affects me more now, thinking about it.
Yeah.
Because I've learned a lot more about Owen and seen a lot more of his matches.
Yeah.
And how good of a person he was, and the people that have known him, that have reported stories on him. And I guess Owen for me as well. I think the first time that I'd heard of a wrestling death, because it's weird, when you're certain young, you're thinking, oh, well, wrestlers can't die. And you always think of them as like superheroes and stuff. I'm guessing, if I remember correctly, possibly Andre the Giant. But yeah, other than those two, I don't think it was much of a factor. We just watched them for how they were.
Yeah.
Just on TV and stuff. But speaking of Owen, the pay-per-view, Over the Edge.
Yeah.
Many complaints that the pay-per-view wasn't shut down after it happened. It just continued.
Yeah, I was really surprised because JR at the time, he sounded really somber, and he announced that it happened, and I'm thinking, okay, so they're really gonna continue the show, and they did. It kind of blew me away at that point. I thought it would have been much better just for them to end it right there and be like, okay, the fans have already seen enough. It's kind of hard to get over seeing something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see how anyone could have really enjoyed the rest of the show after that.
Oh,
Even the response, it happened. I mean, it wasn't as even if it was like the main event or anything. It was kind of in the middle of the card.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was a shame. Yeah, interesting note about, I guess, more recent deaths. Umaga and Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah.
Mr. Kennedy faced both of them just before they died.
That's a really bad coincidence.
It is. And the fact that Umaga's real name's Eddie as well.
Yeah.
It's, I don't think Mr. Kennedy's actually ever really commented on it. I mean, it's not something if I interviewed him, it's not something I'd really want to ask him about, to be fair.
Yeah.
It's just a really bad coincidence, to be fair.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I've forgot for that part, because I'm trying not to go into the question that's coming later.
Yeah. So I guess we could just sort of leave that off until we get back into that question.
Yeah, but also, I mean, if wrestling deaths have affected you in any way, not you, Dan. I mean, people who are listening, all 12 people who are probably listening.
Yeah.
Leave comments in the comment section.
Yeah, I mean,
try and be as interactive as we can.
Yeah, I mean, just see how wrestling deaths have affect everyone else out there. I mean, obviously, it's affect us in certain ways, and maybe there was a certain wrestler that you guys liked that you saw that you heard about died, and it affected you. And
I think Benoit was a big one as well.
Yeah,
shocking.
Yeah, that was for me too. It wasn't. I wasn't really sad, just shocked that all that happened, because at first I remember it started off like, they all died, and you didn't hear about the whole murder suicide thing,
No.
and then that came out, and it's just like, oh geez, and of course all the news
Yeah.
outlets were all over that because they always jump over really really negative stories
Mm,
in wrestling.
a lot of, I mean, everyone was trying to put Kevin Sullivan at the scene of the crime.
Yeah,
That was weird, but I mean, it's weird because there's sort of evidence that he could have done it, but I don't think they found any like evidence of him being in the property at all
yeah,
there. But anyway, that's enough death for now, I think. Until
yeah.
later.
And now time to get into a little more positive part of the show with our Q&A.
Q
Uh,
and A.
Start off this week with a question from Jade, who asked, over or under a 1.5 tag team title reigns for Los Matadores. The 1.5 is to keep you guys from pushing and saying only one.
Yeah, he's basically using gambling odds there.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say over 1.5, but I don't see them having a more than twice push,
yeah,
really.
yeah. I'm gonna go the exact opposite and say under. Maybe have just give them one.
See how it
Maybe.
goes, and then
Yeah, I just don't see that working out just because of how it's going so far. I mean, maybe I'll change my mind if seeing how it progresses.
yeah.
All right, next question from this one's from Michelle. Do you think it's time for another WWE original CD? Perfect for promotion for JoJo and even 3MB, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I love the first one they did.
Yeah,
Um, I don't think it really hurts the business. I think it adds that fun factor. I mean, it's nothing that hasn't been done before.
no,
Can you remember the really bad albums that were done in the past where the wrestlers were, I guess they're supposed to be rapping, but they were just speaking over a random song, and then some woman would start singing and whatnot.
yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, I think absolutely do one, and I think it is a great promotion for JoJo and Funkadactyls to do their new version of Somebody Call My Mama, because they've
hmm
recorded a new version.
yeah.
Um, JoJo's got a fantastic voice.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, get 3MB on there, everything. I'm more than happy to hear some comedy song like from Santino. They could even put Broski on there by Zack
that'd be
Ryder.
great. Yeah,
Yeah, definitely. I think WWE are missing out by not doing that, to be fair.
yeah,
If there's any new Lillian Garcia songs,
yeah. That too.
yeah, definitely.
All right, and then next question from Silva, who asks, once 3 and B split, do you think that'll be it for gender?
I think the only way they can really save him is have him as the new Davari again.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see how they can really use him
No,
at
I mean
all in any other fashion.
they can only put him with Carly.
Yeah,
I don't think people really want to see either of them, to be fair.
no, I know I don't.
No, I'm just I don't know. I think after 3MB are done, I think Jinder he'll probably join the ranks of Kurt Hawkins. They'll probably put those two together as
Yeah,
some random tag team that won't really do anything, even though Kurt Hawkins deserves way better.
yeah, he does.
But no, I think after that, I think Jinder's done.
And next question, which what really inspired our Know Your Host, was from Michelle, who asked, which wrestling death affected you the most?
Yeah, I mean we've sort of talked a bit about it, but I think Eddie
Yeah,
really. That's the only one that's really actually made me cry. I think because it affected me for ages. Every time they showed a tribute, it just got to me. But like I said, Owen wasn't far behind that, and I think Paul Bearer was a tough loss as well because these
hmm
Paul Bearer's a guy that I not literally grew up with, but I've seen pretty much his entire career, well, WWE career anyway.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, I mean, it's such a shame because he was trying. Well, he lost loads of weight,
hmm
got himself healthy, and this is just it was just like a sudden tragedy, really. Same with Eddie, he'd got himself clean, he
hmm
was doing great, and then that was that. It's scarily unpredictable, to be fair. Like, just because your body says you're healthy, it might have other plans. It's just
Yeah, I mean, and also I'm surprised we didn't mention it before when Savage ended up dying. That was a little more a surprise as well,
yeah.
just because of the way it happened.
He got killed by a tree.
Yeah, I mean, I was I didn't that didn't really affect me too much. I mean, I
Uh,
obviously like I missed him, and it was just a bit of a shock, but I'll
as tragic as it was, I don't think the fact that he'd been almost invisible for a few years,
yeah
But I mean, probably the older fans that had been watching him from like the 70s and whatnot,
yeah
probably a lot more affected than people that would have just only seen him in his early WWE days, like in the 80s and whatnot. Because I hadn't seen much of him pre 80s WWE. I have now,
yeah
but I was never a huge fan. It's not as if I didn't like him. He just, I don't know. It just didn't.
just didn't appeal that much.
No, it just didn't appeal really.
All right, enough depth for this show.
Yeah, hopefully.
All right, let's go in. I guess a more positive question: which wrestler deserves their own DVD documentary but never got one? William Regal is my choice. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, William Regal is probably my choice as well. I
Yeah,
also think I would like to see a Scott Hall one or a DDP one as well,
yeah,
or a Colin Delaney one.
or maybe have one for Eugene.
Yeah. Well, funny enough,
Huh.
a Eugene one would have been funny, but Nick Dinsmore would have actually been really interesting because Nick Dinsmore, like I say, another wasted talent that got stuck with a weird, unnecessary gimmick.
hmm
Actually, a really good wrestler. So it's kind of killed his career because now he's stuck doing shows as Eugene
Yeah.
instead of just Nick Dinsmore. So, but yeah, I think Regal definitely. I don't know why he hasn't had one yet. There's so many good taglines like William Regal, born naughty,
I mean, I'm sure they could do something just to reference
born a villain, or something.
born a villain, became a
The
king,
villain's
something like that.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The villain is king, something like that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Regal needs one. Maybe they are going to do one, but they definitely need something.
Yeah.
He's not that far away from retirement.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
just sad that he never got a world title.
yeah. I
Yeah,
always wanted to see him with one back in the day. It just never
yeah.
happened, I guess.
It happened many times on me and Michelle's games, though.
that
The
that
AI loved putting the title on him.
uh
I think he's like a 4-time world champion there. So yeah.
All right. Next question from Antonius, aka Anthony, formerly on this show. This year we're seeing the end of How I Met Your Mother, Breaking Bad, and Dexter. Let's say TNA finally ends. What would be the final payoff? What should be the main events of main events? And now let's say WWE also ends. Not likely, of course, but but what would be their final send off? And how would you plan the final 10 minutes of each show? God damn.
Right. Okay. I actually have an idea for this, and it's kind of one that works well for both shows.
Hmm.
Final send off would be a merger, a true farewell. And what a better time to do it if they're closing, really. They wouldn't need to worry about who went over too much. They could just do the best joint shows possible.
Mm-hmm.
That is the only logical way for them to do it. If they're both ending, they don't need to be, competing. They can just work together to give the ultimate thank you to the fans,
Yeah.
and everything like that. So yeah, merger.
Yeah, for mine, I just went with just being the last match because I remember WCW's last match was Sting versus Ric Flair, and I think that made the most sense considering they were there the longest. As far as last matches go for TNA, maybe something with AJ versus Samoa Joe or anybody with being with some of the originals there. And for WWE, I guess Triple H versus I don't know, The Rock maybe
Or Undertaker.
or Undertaker. Yeah,
Yeah. I don't know. I think it could be Austin versus Rock possibly, but I don't think it'd never be as good as it, was 10, 15 years ago or whichever.
yeah,
It's
probably not.
scary to think that, isn't it? That they were like wrestling for like 15 years ago. Time has just flown.
Yeah, it really has.
Yeah. Does that make us feel old? Possibly.
Yeah. uh,
Uh,
All right,
moving on.
let's get into our next questions from Tim, who asks, "Who are the best underrated tag teams in wrestling today?"
Right. I've got a few indie choices. Dark City Fight Club. He's one. Young Bucks or Generation Me. They've got a
Yeah,
hell of a future, definitely. And a duo from Japan, Naruki Doi and Masato Yoshino. It's hard to really pinpoint current days as tag team rosters just so thin
yeah,
on Impact and WWE and whatnot. And as I said before, like I guess Neville and Graves would count, but they just
yeah.
don't look like a tag team. And there's too many teams nowadays that are thrown together with very little tag chemistry. So
It's true.
you can't just throw two. It's rare that it works. Like they put Cesaro and Swagger together, and it
Yeah.
works.
Hmm.
And I never thought it would, but it really does. I wouldn't say they were underrated though, because they're being
No.
used quite well.
Yeah.
Um, I guess the last few years, it's easier to point that because then there were more legit teams. But I always think Kendrick and London were very underrated.
Yeah, me too.
But current day, nah, I don't think there's enough legit tag teams.
No, I mean, certainly for me, just because I remember watching Generation Me years ago, back when they were just called the Young Bucks,
Yeah.
and I was always entertained by every one of their matches, and why they aren't stars on WWE or TNA is beyond me.
Well, apparently they're not stars in WWE because they didn't shake Booker T's hand backstage.
Yeah.
And like, wow,
Apparently
who does Booker
that's
T think he is?
yeah, that's really strange. That'd be a reason why.
This is weird. I wouldn't ever class Booker T as a legend.
Yeah,
You know, I'm not a huge Ric Flair fan, but he's a legend.
yeah,
I'm not a huge Hogan fan, but he's a legend.
yeah.
So
I didn't. I never really saw that either, and
I even
especially
consider Eric Bischoff a legend,
yeah. I mean,
especially and Paul Heyman. Right, just accomplishments.
yeah. Well, what they did, how they revolutionized wrestling.
Yeah.
Move on to the next question. I think this is a question you're gonna have a lot of fun with. Next one from Tim, who asks, "Who would you have in a faction if you could pick the stars? Mind you, it can be anyone, wrestling or not. What would your faction name be?"
The fact that he says wrestling or not just makes you want to combine like a lamppost with Ben Affleck, have them as a team. Oh, I don't know. um,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, Matt Classic, aka Colt Cabana, El
Hmm.
Local, they'd be a good team together.
Yeah.
Santino, Colt Cabana, Cody Rhodes, Dolph Ziggler, Alex Riley, Heath Slater work very well as a team. From a video game standpoint, as did Miz and Ryder. For those who possibly may have seen the shows that me and Michelle have done on the Pseudonym Club YouTube channel,
Hmm.
Misfit Broskis, Miz and Ryder, hugely over with the viewers that actually watched. And it's weird
Yeah.
to say it's a video game and characters are getting over, but they did. They were a popular choice. Also, Goldust, Cody Rhodes, called Country Roads.
Ooh, I like that one.
Yeah, it's very clever. um, but also, I sort of had a random sort of vision of, say, like a Bobby Roode, Triple H, Mark Jindrak, and Chris Hero. Call them
Yeah.
the Royal Flush. It's
Ooh.
just, Shark Boy, George the Animal Steel. Call them Sharky and George for all those
Ooh.
old enough
Yeah.
to remember the old depressing cartoon that was on, because that was so depressing.
Yeah.
Um, Also, our very own Michelle. And Paige, can call her Paige Turner, because that's Michelle's surname's Turner.
Yep.
Yeah. I could go on and on and on and on.
And I'm sure I could come up with a whole bunch too, but that's just gonna continue to further drag out that
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
All
another
right.
thing that we could ask people to put in the comments.
Mm-hmm.
Dream teams and names, and if they had any interest in duos in that universe mode on the WWE games have put together, and what were you called and all that stuff. Yeah,
And
down
just
below.
be creative as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. The more Colt Cabana, the better.
Yeah, I agree with that
Yeah.
100%.
Also, Seth Rollins and CM Punk could be a good team.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting loads of ideas.
No, I think we should say that though. Just
Raven and Dean Ambrose.
that. Wow. Yeah, that could definitely work too.
Yeah. Okay, quick, change the question.
All right. Next question from Hector, who asks, "You can call one diva or superstar up to the main roster. Who do you pick and why?"
This is a question we get pretty much every week.
Yeah.
My choices are kind of obvious: the Paige and Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
You know,
And I'd also wouldn't mind seeing Neville up there too.
simple answer there.
Yep. And next question from Michelle. Do you think WWE wasted the chance to have El Generico on NXT? The El Local costume was clearly too big for Sammy.
Absolutely yes. They could have
Yeah.
done. There was no reason why they shouldn't. As I said, WWE owns 50% of the El Generico name. Probably just the L.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have their costume there. They could use it whenever they want. Oh, I really hope they don't just put someone random in it.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, why? They have Sami Zayn. They have the costume. Put them together. They did, honestly, yeah. They wasted a huge opportunity there.
Mm-hmm. Though, to be honest, I think they were going to chant Ole regardless because they all knew it was him.
Yeah. Of course it's skinny Seth Rogen. It's like,
Yeah. I mean, who else would it be?
Ali, what they gonna do about it, eh? What, they gonna fight about it? Come on.
All right. Next question from Tim, who asks, "Do you think there should be more superhero gimmicks in wrestling? What about characters like Glacier? I also love that dude and thought he was great. And do you think those types of gimmicks hurt or help a wrestler?"
Depends on how they're done. Chances are with Glacier, obviously he was meant to be Sub-Zero.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was all right until they basically took away a bunch of his attire,
Mm-hmm.
and he was just some guy with face paint on.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think that's the good thing about NXT is you have gimmicks like that, and they get over really quickly. And I don't know why like WWE isn't learning from that. You have people who they can call an alternate person, like an alternate sort of characteristic, a
Yeah.
gimmick, because it's just like someone who's happy pretending to be angry all the time and calling that a gimmick.
Yeah.
And it's not really a gimmick. A proper gimmick, go back in history, a proper gimmick, and it's a selling point. The
Yeah.
main point of a gimmick is a selling point. And there are so many guys in NXT that have that selling point.
Mm-hmm.
Gimmicks, depending on how they're done, I don't think superhero. I mean, we had Hurricane,
Yeah.
but I don't think if you're going to have a superhero gimmick, you only need one at a
Mm-hmm.
time, because otherwise one of them is going to turn heel inevitably. They'll feud with each other,
Yeah.
and who else are they going to feud with other than each other? So it's like, I don't know. I think superheroes not so much.
I mean, not unless you're gonna have like a whole sort of, I guess, sort of like federation of wrestlers that are all superhero gimmicks. If you're just
That's
gonna
what
have
the
it,
Shield should have been.
a bunch
Obviously
of stuff.
not like but then again, Marvel probably would have sued.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. See, I
Uh,
was watching Agents of Shield last night. I just could not help thinking of just like Dean Ambrose just randomly walking in.
yeah.
We stole your name. They're just leaving.
Oh, okay.
All right.
All right. Next question from Silva. Do you think there will ever be a Japanese wrestler in the WWE that won't be stereotyped and then turn into a jobber? Seems kind of racist and narrow-minded, but the WWE, it seems like how the WWE rules.
Yeah, it happens to everyone other than Tajiri and Kai and Tai, but even Kai and Tai fell into that trap. Tajiri was the perfect example of them honouring Japanese wrestling heritage, like with the Green Mist. Something that has been done by many wrestlers. And it's almost like, I guess, a Japanese pop moment.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, there's way too many that do get in to WWE,
Yeah.
get given stupidly racist gimmicks, like,
Yeah,
and it's like, really, can't they just be creative and not give someone, that whole, like they did with Yoshitatsu. Not everyone is Bruce Lee,
no.
you know.
It's really unfortunate too.
I know, it's just the only difference. Yeah, but even what they did with Jimmy Wang Yang,
Yeah.
that
What they
whole,
made.
yeah, redneck Asian redneck cowboy. That in itself was racist, not only to Japanese but also to cowboys. Not
Yeah.
that cowboys are a race. You know what I mean? It's kind
Yeah.
of like, it's almost a stereotype mocking another stereotype, and as fun as it was, it's just it just got stupid, and
Yeah.
it didn't last. And it's a shame because Jimmy Yang is a fantastic competitor.
Mm-hmm.
You look at his work in the Jung Dragons in WCW,
Mm-hmm.
fantastic.
Yeah.
His work as a Keo, it's just no. Straight answer, absolutely not. They're not going to do it. WWE seems to love stereotypes and just generally racial crap.
Yeah, it's no good.
Yeah.
All right, next question is from Benjamin, who asked, "Do you think NXT is the best show WWE has going today?"
Yes. Next question.
Very
There's
simple.
there's not more we can no more we can say about that. It generally is. I mean, if they're going to do weekly tapings, which I think they should do, really,
Hmm.
have them 2 hours.
Yeah, and
Uh,
I also wish they would talk about it a little more, maybe more on WWE television. Maybe make like a little mention of it on Raw or SmackDown or something like that.
yeah, which is why I think they should have more like NXT guys, just even if they're just backstage talking,
Yeah, I think it would
just
be.
more exposure.
Yeah, it would be nice to see.
Yeah.
Okay, next question is from Andy. Ask, what should be the main event of this year's WrestleMania? I say Punk versus Bryan. They'd tear the house down for sure.
Uh, yeah,
Yeah, probably.
yeah. Punk versus Bryan. I can't think of a better one. Maybe I really want to throw Ambrose in there, but yeah,
Maybe make that a triple threat.
yeah. I mean, even Rollins versus Punk versus Bryan, because those three have got amazing chemistry.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, as long as Punk and Bryan are in the mix and the title's on the line, I'm happy to go with it. Stipulation, have it as a pure wrestling match.
All right,
Job's a good
next.
one.
Yeah? Next question from Tim. Since the WWE title is in abeyance, if you were in charge, what would be your WWE match, title match rather, and how would you do it? It could be any stipulation, and any number of wrestlers can be involved.
Right. Royal Rumble with the title on the line, having it as a shoot, meaning anyone can win that title legitimately as the ultimate opportunity of their career, really. And if booking didn't like who won, they should at least give them a chance with the title. If it
Yep.
really isn't working, they can obviously take it off them. But I don't think they should strip them straight away. But definitely, a shoot Rumble with the title on the line would be something that could possibly do amazing things for the wrestling business.
Yeah.
Although the only downside to that is it could make their strongest stars, or who they push as their strongest stars, look really weak. Like if JTG eliminated like Cena, Orton, and Triple H,
Yeah.
in minutes. It could happen,
Yeah.
but that's the thing. If they don't test these things, how are they going to know? The problem is with WWE, they hold too tightly to their safety net, and they just need to let that go. Let some shoot matches happen, or at least one, just one shoot rumble with the title on the line.
I think that'd be a lot of fun to see.
That'd be
Certainly a lot better than my answer. My answer was just piggybacking off the last question. So yeah, I'll go with that one as well.
okie dokie.
Next question from Andy. If Big Show were to retire in the near future, who should his last match be against and why?
There's only a few choices. I mean, as we discussed earlier, it'd be someone who's been a pinnacle opponent in his career.
Mm-hmm.
So Undertaker or Kane or some sort of match with Triple H, possibly. I don't see it being with The Rock because I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it would work.
No, but definitely one of those three.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I certainly agree with all of those. It's not really anyone you can really pick over the other.
Nah.
Okay, next question. Be sure I don't skip over one. Okay. From Michelle. Do you think younger fans are so overly aggressively arrogant about both indie guys and stars in the past? I keep seeing them post stupid things on IGN forums saying the old nobodies are useless.
Yeah, it's just typical ignorant morons who shouldn't even be watching it if they don't care about stuff past 2010 or
Yeah.
past WWE. I mean, why? It makes no sense why they get so aggressive. An indie star comes in who they're not heard of, and apparently that is enough to make them start raging against people who like them and then call them marks and stuff. And then that's when the term mark just gets really badly used, and you just
Mm-hmm.
realise that kids do not know what that term is.
No.
Means yeah, they're just idiots who don't really deserve an opinion.
Yeah, those types of sites or forums, I just do my best to try to stay away from them because they just make me so angry, and
Yeah,
it's just not worth anybody's time.
stupid's gonna stupid.
What was the quote? Stupid is stupid does, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Forrest
Uh,
Gump.
yeah. I don't know why that just randomly came to my head there. Next question from Tim. I think we've answered this in the past, but we'll go through it anyway. What's your all-time favorite storyline or angle? What match came out of it? What match came out of it, and would you have done anything different?
We've had that a few. I say we. Uh, I think
It's
you
certainly been on this show
have.
before.
Yeah. Basically, anything involving Stone Cold, his rivalries were like top notch. So
Hmm.
Austin versus Corporation, Austin versus Rock, Austin versus Triple H. I wouldn't do anything differently. They were perfect.
Hmm.
Because of Austin, that's the thing. He did his bit, and rivalries like that is what brought WWE way above WCW,
Yeah.
and that's that.
Hmm. All right. Next question from Jordan. Okay, so what would you guys do if you could take control of the Indies for one night only? Like a few times in the past where indie promotions have done a show where it's like a tournament or a best of each show.
Uh, Gimmick tournament with people that are just hilarious. So basically, Colt Cabana wearing many different attires.
Yep.
Yeah, Colt would win, and would you might get like if it's depends what sort of tournament it is really. If it's a tournament that includes some sort of battle royal, which some do,
Hmm.
to gain bonus points, uh, get him in as normal Colt Cabana, and then as Matt Classic and Scotty Goldman and all sorts, and if it comes down to Scotty Goldman versus Colt Cabana or Matt Classic versus Scotty Goldman or one of
Hmm.
that's going to be probably one of the greatest matches in wrestling history. Much better than Al Snow versus Al Snow,
Indeed.
although that match was quite good.
Next question is from Andy. Can't see anyone on the current roster taking the Divas title off of AJ, at least that are deserving of it, except maybe Natalia. But if you could choose someone being called up from NXT or a veteran re-signed to challenge her for it, who would it be and why?
Now, here's the funny thing. He didn't mention female. So, if he's saying anyone, then, Roman Reigns could challenge it and probably win, like, Michael Cole could challenge.
But he would probably lose, I would think.
Yeah, well, technically anyone means anyone, so not
Yeah.
just women. But if they could bring in someone to challenge one of my favourite women on the indies, Nikki Rocks, should be good. Sarah Del Rey, she's pretty much in NXT anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Daphne,
yeah, definitely Daphne for me.
Possibly bring Victoria back.
Yeah.
Molly Holly.
Yeah, she was good.
Who else? Alpha female. Now that'd be awesome. Have you seen much of her?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's fun to watch.
Yes. Yeah, so one of those.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next question here. Which current wrestler's moveset or move is your favorite right now and why? Mine's Antonio Cesaro's airplane spin.
It's not really an airplane spin, but it's called big swing or giant swing. I posted a video from Shikara of him basically doing it 100 times. It's worth seeing, but I think that at the moment is definitely the move that gets the biggest reaction. I've always loved the swinging net breaker. I think the best moves are the ones that get the most react, but then again, the Cobra gets a huge reaction.
Yeah.
And that's not exactly the best move.
No,
that's
it's
essentially the poke of doom.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think like Sweet Chin Music.
Oh yeah.
And the swinging net breaker, I think, are my two favourite ones. Yeah, I think those are the two that I probably used the most when I used to make a cause of myself on the old Smackdown games. I think it's swinging net breaker and Sweet Chin Music, and sometimes chokeslam as well. But I don't know. I think chokeslam nowadays doesn't look as impressive because it's kind of overdone. As is the spear, but Roman Reigns' spear is probably one of the better ones.
Yeah, he always makes it look so good.
Yeah, I think the best spear would probably go for Rhino there. But yeah, so I mean, there's a few choices there. It's kind of, I like the ones that look most legit.
Yeah.
And I don't think elbows and chops, like people's elbow, the worm, essentially that is just a chop.
Yeah.
Elbow's an elbow. Cobra's a poke. Poor Heath Slater. Slater's gonna slate.
Yeah. So I think it would be good to move on to another question that wasn't included in the Q&A, but I think it was just interesting to talk about.
Yeah.
I think it's Damie. I think it sounds right. It's Dami. Just thought I would ask this question to all the wrestling fans. What do you guys think of what Dixie Carter is doing in TNA, and is she being good as a heel?
You had a good response for this, so I'll let you cover this one.
Yeah, I certainly like what she's doing. I just wish she maybe when she's talking more, maybe acknowledge the crowd, because they will get really loud and she'll just try to talk over them, and I think it sounds just a little awkward. I think like just acknowledging the crowd in some form or fashion. I mean, we've seen in the past when heels acknowledge the crowd and they get more. There's more heat on them for it.
Yeah.
And just this, it just seems just kind of plain to me.
Yeah.
I mean, otherwise she's doing a great job, though, I think.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I like the fact that she's kind of, in a way, she's sort of ignoring them. Because, like I say earlier, it's like a teacher trying to talk over a bunch of loud kids.
Yeah.
But it's early days. We'll see where it goes. But
Yeah.
I'm kind of liking the bitchy side of her because she's always
Yeah.
seemed really caring and mumsy, and now she's like angry teacher.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna get the cane, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last question. Tom Mills asked
Mm-hmm.
one a few days ago.
Yep. Who thinks after what happened on Raw, Curtis Axel will be going his separate ways soon?
Yeah, I think I said that. How can one person go his separate ways?
Yeah.
But I know what he means. I wasn't taking the mick. Hopefully,
Yeah.
he knows I wasn't taking the mick. It's just, the certain members of the group that are quite cheeky.
Yeah.
Certain 3 members at least, possibly. um, I don't know really what's going to happen to him. I reckon in a scenario in my head, he loses the title. Heyman's really annoyed. And then he sort of goes to him and goes, like, I love you like a son. I'm sorry, but this is for your own good. Then Chris Hero comes out and just destroys him.
Mm-hmm.
And then goes, I'm sorry. And all that,
Sounds
That's
perfect
it.
to
He
me.
just replaces him with it. And then I don't know if he's going to keep the name. But I hope at one point he is just Joe Henning.
Yeah.
But I don't think his career's been bright enough to even have the Henning name. I know it sounds stupid because that is his name,
Yeah.
but Mr. Perfect put the Henning, on the map, so to speak.
Yeah.
And Joe just hasn't. He's done hardly anything.
Well, I guess that's why they originally paired him up with Heyman, just so he could have that.
Yeah, it's done wonders for him. I reckon if it wasn't for that, he'd probably been released. And it's
Yeah.
not as if he can't wrestle because he's a good performer.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he spent too long as Michael McGillicuddy, and that's all people see him as.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was it Santino said? McGillicuddy. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't see him doing much really.
Yeah. All right, that'll do it for all the questions.
Did anyone ask where they can watch a news program where they can, just sort of watch made up wrestling stories? Does anyone ask that again in case?
No,
No?
I didn't see that for this week. I know we
Yeah.
had that
All
last
right
week.
then, fair enough. Spot on.
All right, that will do it for this week. Before we go, let's get into some plugs. First off, as stated at the beginning of the show, we have a Facebook group called Intelligent Wrestling Talk. We have tons of topics every day. We have chats for just about every major show and pay-per-view. That's also where our top 10s are started. One of our members collects all the votes submitted by all the members. And speaking of that, our latest top 10 is a top 10 UK wrestlers, and I know you put a lot of work into that.
I put all the work into that. Yeah. Yeah, good to do. And it's nice to see that people recognizing true British talent, and yeah, it was a good top 10. We also have one of just your standard worldwide known wrestlers that was done before that.
Yep.
Which me and Michelle put together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a few little, I guess, special edition videos to check out. There's also pay-per-view specials for each pay-per-view.
And you also have a YouTube page.
I do. If you want to hear me rant about random things while playing games, or talking about games or clones or chocolate or anything like that, go to youtube.com/generationspecs. That is my personal YouTube channel. I'm part of the Smosh Games Alliance, which should be ratings in itself.
Yeah.
I upload stuff quite frequently. At the moment, I'm going through a bunch of wrestling games, counting down the days till WWE 2K14's released. So I've been playing a lot of All Stars and WWE 13. I will be playing some of the classic SmackDown games at some point as well. So it's very wrestling based on my channel at the moment. But I also have BS Wrestling News, where I just make up a bunch of wrestling stories. Hopefully none of which would come true, but if you want to read about how Andre the Giant was actually midgets in a costume, or Dixie Carter doing Playboy, CM Punk being escorted out of Disneyland for being drunk and disorderly and making lewd comments to the Disney princesses, head over to the link below. That's youtube.com/generationspecs. I will see you there. Not literally.
All right, and that will about do it for this week. And I would like to remind you all that there's only one way to talk wrestling.
Intelligently, and there's only one way to complain about it: on the internet. Bye, peoples!